It was below 50 degrees Tuesday, a cold morning by Alabama standards, but that didn't keep nearly 50 voters from waiting outside of Brown Elementary School before 7 a.m. to cast their vote in the special Senate election. Most of the voters that arrived early were older African Americans who lived in the 5 Points West neighborhood. Treva Killian, chief inspector of the polling site, was worried about keeping them warm, but she was not surprised at their willingness to participate in this important race. This is a community filled with people who remember people who fought for their right to vote, and it's just not something older Black Alabamians take for granted, she said. But it wasn't always clear, at least to national Democrats, that Black voters would turn out for Doug Jones and fuel his upset of Republican Roy Moore Tuesday night. Days earlier, the party mobilized rising stars such as Sen. Cory Booker, NJ, and former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick for a final campaign push for Jones. Those high-profile voices may not have mattered, though. More than 24 Black voters here said they did not feel inspired to show up for a candidate who they felt did not aggressively pursue their vote. They were moved to wait in line, some people for hours, with the goal of keeping Moore from winning. Republican Roy Moore's stunning defeat in Alabama marked a watershed moment for the national movement around the issue of sexual abuse. The allegations that Moore had made sexual advances on girls as young as 14 decades ago, when he was in his 30s, had created a real contest out of what should. Republican Roy Moore's stunning defeat in Alabama marked a watershed moment for the national movement around the issue of sexual abuse. The allegations that Moore had made sexual advances on girls as young as 14 decades ago, when he was in his 30s, had created a real contest out of what should. Moore, a President Trump-backed Republican accused of sexually assaulting teenage girls, has repeatedly made controversial remarks about minorities and the LGBT community, that many liberal Alabamians view as a microcosm of many of their issues with the White House. He reportedly said at a September rally that America was great during the era of slavery. It was Moore's discriminatory views before the sexual assault allegations made international headlines that led Black voters not to consider the Republican many deemed a local version of Trump. African Americans made up about 3 in 10 Alabama voters Tuesday, according to preliminary exit polls, slightly higher than the 28% of the electorate in 2012 presidential election and 29% in 2008, when Barack Obama was on the ballot. Part of that turnout may have been because some voters said Moore reminds them of an Alabama that the community has worked so hard to escape. After what seems like years, the Alabama special election is over. The race to replace Attorney General Jeff Sessions in the Senate featured votes spanning nearly 4 full months, featured one bizarre turn after another, and ended Tuesday night with Democrat Doug Jones pulling off the upset over. After what seems like years, the Alabama special election is over.